my tribe, and I've got some special stories for you today. Well, let's look on my new machine that can find the stories. Let's get started. Beep, beep, beep. Here's the story that we're going to be reading today. Rosie Revere, Engineer, by Andrea B.T., illustrated by David Roberts. So let's get started. They're in school, Blue River Creek. There Rosie would sit on her boring old seat. There she would stay, looking at the day and turning into the afternoon as it all went past. But when no one was looking, there she'd go in the trash bin and dig for gizmos of plenty. And at night, when she has arrived home, she would go up into the attic, find gizmos and plenty to build her gadgets, until she got tired and went to Abbott's, put all her gizmos and gadgets under the bed, deep where no one could see, as she snuck into bed, sleeping like a tree. Like trees never move, they just like okay, anyways, let's keep going. So, next. But Rosie never used to be this shy. She wasn't so shy. She made hot dogs dispensers and helium pans for aunts and uncles and grandfathers and grandparents. But her favorite uncle was Zookeeper Zed. Is it Zookeeper Zed? Let me have a look. Oh my God. Okay. The uncle she loved most was Zookeeper Fred. And the uncle she loved most was Zookeeper Fred. She made a cheesecopter hat which should keep the pythons off his head, because everyone knows pythons hate cheese. When she got there to show Fred, he laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed until he started to sneeze and wheeze, until he started to slap his knee. He cried and with his wheezing little eyes, laughing while slapping his knee. So, there Rosie was, looking at the failure she had made, which was not really a failure. It was her best try. I think you'd loved it. Okay, back to the story. So then he said, "Oh, stop, Rosie, stop feeling so distressed. I just have to say I'm very sorry. It was a big mess. Truly I really do love it. I just laughed because you are so cute." She knew that couldn't be true. She put on the cheesecopter hat, looking all dismissed, as she span it all the way home to her new dismiss. As she put it on the back of her shelf to look at her failure. That's the story of Rosie Revere. But one day, on one autumn morning, there Rosie woke with a big surprise. Her favorite Aunt Rose, who was her grandmother, building planes. She had built many long ago. She built and built and built and built until she was tired, just like Rosie. And she had told Rosie stories about herself, how she had ticked every goal to do in her book, except one. The last goal that she had never managed to tick was to fly. Flying with my finger right now. Fly, fly, fly. Okay, back to the story. So, Rosie sat wondering in her bed with a tight memory onto her. Should I help? Should I make a cheesecopter 007? So she wondered in her mind, Should I make a cheese copter 007? She wondered and wondered. Everyone loses their goals. But some questions pull on nice and tight, like try and hold on to your. So it's kind of like you're on your brain thinking of something like there are jelly beans right in front of me, and I'm thinking, should I eat one? Should I not? That one's holding tight to me because I really have a sugar tooth right here. So I'm really holding on to that. Okay, anyways, back to the story. But then she thought finally, be calm, be nice. So she tiptoed out of bed like a little sneaky mouse. Like that, making the cheese copter day until night. Night until day, and then she rolled it out onto the field to see the horror it would be. This is how I'm gonna. It flew up, made 2 circles, and then zoomed in zigzags for a few seconds, and then stopped with a heartbeat and crashed onto the ground. Boom, 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 boom. It had fallen. It was broken. So, there Rosie stood. She heard laughing. She turned around to see. And it was Rosie. Could this be her true failure, making people laugh at her? She couldn't, and her Aunt Rosie, she laughed and she laughed and laughed until she wheezed, until she started to slap her knee. You guessed it. Like that, but there Rosie turned around to walk away from her failure. Trying to hide here from my failures. So, there Rosie stood, waiting and perplexed, walking away with a very sad mind, thinking and thinking, why did I do that? I'm so dumb. From now on, I can never make a cockle shield, a copter, a cheese, a hot dog dispenser, helium pants, not even a gadget, a gizmo, or 20. And then there she sat, playing with her fingers, thinking about the horrible thing. But before she could leave, not really, but before she could leave, on came a tight squeeze. It was her Rosie hugging her. She was disappointed, shocked, and confused. Huh? She thought in her mind, why are you hugging me? I failed. But she said, you won. You won. It did it. She wondered did it fly? It wiggled, it jiggled, and crashed. It did. It's true, said her Aunt Rose. But before that, it did what it just needed to do. It flew. It actually flew, young Rosie. It flew. That is true. It whistled and it wazzled around and around, but of course it crashed. But it did its first noun. So now it's the next. We shall build it right now. So let's go to the next. This wasn't a failure. No, it is not. The only true failure is if you quit. I just love playing with my fingers, but I can never get the twist. But I'm not gonna quit because quitting is a true failure. Okay. Anyways, back to the story. That's why I never kind of hide from my failures, because That's quitting, and quitting is a true failure. So that's the whole story. So goodbye. I hope you liked it. Goodbye.